Air filters could be causing you a lot of problems, and a lot of homeowners are installing the wrong air filter in their HVAC system and they don't even know it. You mean if I don't just buy more expensive air filters, aren't they just going to be better because I spent more money? Not necessarily. Just because you spent more money on an air filter doesn't mean it's good or better for your heating and air system. In today's video, I'm going to cover 5 secrets a lot of homeowners don't know about air filters. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to share a common misconception that a lot of homeowners get wrong. I do all my own heating and air work, and sometimes I just vacuum out my air filter. Let's ignore him and get to the secrets. Number 1, a lot of homeowners think that the better the air filter is, the more they spent on that air filter, the better it filters the air, the better it is for the air they breathe. And what a lot of folks don't know is most air filters are actually just meant to protect the equipment. It's actually not supposed to be meant to clean the air in your home unless it's meant to clean the air in your home. Most heating and air companies are installing a cheap filter. It's just meant to keep the dust out of that heating and air system on some level. And because of that, some folks have a false sense that their air is cleaner, they're taking better care of their family, and so on. That's not necessarily true in a lot of cases, and we're going to dive more into that in later secrets here. My heating and air equipment is protected by this little product I bought online. Number 2, let's talk about MERV. MERV stands for Minimum Efficiency Reporting Value, and it's a number that a lot of companies will attach to that air filter to talk about how small the particulates are in the air that it can catch. And the higher the number, the smaller the particulates are that it's catching. In fact, today we're seeing some filters on the market have a MERV 13 and even a MERV 16 filter being able to catch a lot of airborne viruses and bacteria floating through the air. So I should just buy me a high MERV. Not necessarily. I don't think just simply going and buying a high MERV filter is the best thing to do in all cases, and we'll talk about airflow and so on in just a moment. But I think knowing that MERV might be attached to that filter, talking about how well it does filter the air, could play a role in what you decide to install in your home. I used to go to school with a guy named MERV. Number 3, if you go buying a more restrictive air filter, maybe even a filter with a higher MERV rating, you could affect your airflow big time. There's something called static drop, and these filters can be measured how much they drop the airflow across that filter. You can check static pressure. A heating and air company with a manometer could check static pressure on each side of that filter and tell you what the drop is. If it's minimal, great. If it's not, that's a problem. If you're restricting airflow, imagine trying to breathe and you're covering half of your mouth. That's what a lot of these filters will do. They are so restrictive that you can't breathe through there. And that's part of the reason why just going to a local hardware store and buying one of the more expensive filters out there, even if it's got a great MERV rating, because of that static drop, because of how restrictive it is, it may not be the best suit for your home or your heating and air system. So now you're saying don't buy high MERV. Not necessarily. Picking out the right filter for your heating and air system could be simply buying as high of a filtration as you can, but still meet the parameters of that heating and air system for the design static pressures. A lot of heating and air systems, especially today, will tell you what the total external static pressure needs to be on that indoor unit. Again, this may not be something that you can do as the homeowner, but your heating and air company can definitely do it. And that plays right into Number 4, which is a clogged air filter. A lot of folks don't replace them as often as they should. I'm probably included in that. I'm not included in that. I change my air filter every 30 days. But one thing you've got to understand is if that filter, when it's brand new and clean, has a static drop that's significant, and now you're talking about an air filter that's starting to get dirty and it's restricting the air filter even more, and you're not replacing it as often as you should, it can cause a lot of problems. Let's talk about a few of those problems before we make it to our last secret. Imagine a system that is now being restricted. It's not getting enough air through there or as much as it did. now you've got longer run times. So if you're in AC mode or heat mode, but we'll talk about AC for now, that system's now having to run even longer, because if you imagine putting your hand over the vent, you're just not getting as much air out of that vent as you would normally get. And so in a lot of cases, just again, simply replacing that filter or going with a filter that doesn't have as much of a restriction could make a world of difference in the runtime of that system. Now, I know what you're thinking. No, you don't. Not you. I'm talking about folks watching this. You might be thinking, Josh, I've seen other videos that you've made and you've talked about longer run times are actually a good thing, especially with an inverter system. Longer run times means that it's going to run longer, draw less energy, remove more humidity, and long run times are a good thing. Well, that may be true for inverter systems, but it's not true for a lot of systems that are out there. When you're restricting the airflow and you're making that system run longer, not only are you making it draw more electricity because of that longer runtime, but you're also making it draw more electricity because of that restriction in airflow. It may have a higher amp draw on a lot of the components. They're working harder and drawing more energy. And you could be putting more wear and tear on that system, more strain on that system, causing it to have an actual breakdown, all simply because you may even be really good about replacing your air filter often. I'm real good. But even if that's true, that new filter has too high of a static drop across it, and you're causing all these other problems. And then finally, we've talked about this in other videos. Filtration is a part of the big three. The big three? You talking about LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh? No, not that big three. We're talking about the big three in HVAC. The big three, when you are wanting to have cleaner air in your home, are usually filtration, ventilation, and humidity control. And filtration, depending on what you're trying to fix in your home, what the actual air problems might be, you picking out the right filter, actually cleaning the air in your home, not just keeping your heating and air system clean, which, oh, by the way, is pretty important as well, but picking out that right filter, allowing it to do its job and clean the air in your home will fix a lot of the problems that you might have. It doesn't fix everything. There is things that good, clean, fresh air being brought in the home, like ventilation, will help with, and of course, humidity will help with. We're not even talking about source control in this video, but the big three are the big three. We're not talking about some of the fancy products that are out there, which, oh, by the way, I'm a lover of some of those products. I'm not one of those guys that makes this content on the internet and just simply bashes a lot of those products. I think some of them serve their purpose. I think a UV light on an evaporator coil, for example, is a good thing only because I've actually seen what it can do. But if you want good, clean, fresh air in your home, I usually tell folks, start with the big three. So I hope this helps. I'm still lost. I'm not surprised, but hopefully it helped the rest of you. Let me know your thoughts down below. If I missed something, I'd love to hear about that. Or if you've ever looked at better air filtration for your home, kudos to you. Drop me a comment. If you like this video, I think you'll like this one even more. It's where I talk about the 5 biggest problems in the spring with HVAC systems. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button for more HVAC tips. We'll see you next time.